Founder of the BGC Book Club, and I am really excited to be here with you again for another episode of the show. I am super excited this time because actually this is a repeat guest that was here earlier this year. Actually, I went and looked at the dates. It was on January the 9th, and our very first couple of authors for the year, and they're back for another round before the year is out. So we're going to get into that because how powerful is that to have two books come out within less than a year. So as you're coming on in the room, you can let us know where you're joining us from. Once again, I'm Marcy, founder of Brown Girl Collective, BGC Book Club, where we really believe in celebrating books that are by, for, and about us. So tonight's special guests are no stranger to us, as I've already stated, identical twins, best friends, and soulmates, Amber and Danielle Brown, who are graduates of Rider University, where they studied communications and journalism and sat on the editorial staff for the On Fire Literary Journal. After graduation, they pursued a career in fashion and spent 5 years in New York City working their way up, eventually managing their own popular lifestyle and fashion blog. Amber is also a screenwriter, so they live in LA, which works out perfectly so Danielle can spoil her plant babies with copious amounts of sunshine. And earlier this year, they were here to talk about their book, Someone Had to Do It, which I hope you've had an opportunity to read. It's a great thriller. And tonight, I'm excited that we'll be talking about their book that's actually released tomorrow, and that's Perfect Little Lives. So without any further delay, let's welcome Amber and Danielle to BGC. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, twice in 1 year. So that's really exciting. Glad to have you back. So first of all, I do want to go ahead and congratulate you on having yet another book coming out. As I said, in less than a year.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So what has that been like? And we have Amber that's on the right of your screen and Danielle on the left. So if you're watching, you can know who's who. So how does it feel to have, be on kind of a whirlwind to do that in such a short time frame?
Yeah, it doesn't feel that short, I guess, for us because, publishing takes so long and you do these things like way in advance. But yeah, when we look back at it, it's like, wow, that is like, I didn't even realize you said that this is actually less than a year. It's not even less than a year. We were lucky though, because we signed a 2-book deal. So we didn't have that like pressure of getting the next book. Like we already signed this deal, for this book before we even published our first book. So that's always like, okay, just financially, career-wise, it's just,
it's just nice to know you got another one coming. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and earlier this year, we sold 2 more books to our publisher. So 3 and 4 are going to be coming out. And pretty much, if everything goes to plan, they'll be coming out in 2024 and 2025. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So pretty much a book a year. I love it. Mm-hmm. I love it. Mm-hmm. So for those who may not have had a chance to see you earlier this year, just tell us how, you all decided that you actually wanted to go through this process of deciding to write books together, because that's a thing to actually do it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I for the longest time said I was never going to write a book with her. We both started writing when we were about 14, like freshmen in high school. We wrote separately. We never even considered writing. Did you? Okay, I never asked you.
No, I never really considered it either.
Okay,
I didn't kind of think it was an option.
Yeah, you didn't consider it, but I was staunchly against it.
and also just like writing, especially at a younger age, was very personal to us. It still is personal in a lot of ways, but I just wanted to get my ideas out. So
yeah, and then, so then we write separately for I guess 8 solid years.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a book that I had queried and it just never got me representation, but I let her read it and then you liked it. So you kind of like reworked it. So that was our first collaboration. Yeah. But someone had to do what was our first official published collaboration. And yeah, the decision, I don't really remember the moment that clearly, but I was.
It was more of a, like a instance. Like, you came in with the idea. Yeah. She wasn't pitching it to me as like a partner thing. She just said it, and I was like, actually, that's really good. And then I started pitching ideas back, and she was like, well, why don't we just do it together? So it was actually you.
But if you see the implication there, she's saying everything else that I pitched to her, she doesn't like. But this is the one she liked. So we kind of sat on the couch together and just verbally pitched ideas back and forth of like, oh, okay, plot points basically. And then I was like, get your phone and start taking notes. Yeah. So I made her take the notes and then we just verbally pitched. And I think like 2 or 3 hours later, we had what could be a very skeleton version of the outline. And yeah, we were just like, we've tried for a long time separately and it didn't work out. So maybe it'll work out if we do it together. And luckily it did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, because I'm thinking of, there are a lot of groups of twins out there that we know, like Tia and Tamara and other twins that are in the same field and things like that. So it's good to see twins that are writers, I love seeing that just to show, because even though you may be twins, you're still your own unique individual people with your own unique individual perspective. So it's nice to be able to see that you all can bring, put your heads together, literally and figuratively and come up with something to write. So of course, now you spent your time in fashion. So when you did decide that you wanted to start writing novels, what was it that made you choose the genre that you're currently in, which is more like the thriller mystery type genre?
Well, okay, 2 things. We grew up with our mom, like always watching movies with her, and she was really into thrillers, but action, like all that stuff. Yeah. And so that's like in the back of our heads. Yeah. But what got us, so that book that I said that she kind of rewrote for me, it was like a thriller. That was my first foray into that genre. Back then, I didn't really write to the market per se. Yeah. I kind of just I would just think of a plot and I don't know, it kind of just went into that. And, but after that, I was like, I started reading more. Yeah. And then that's like when Gone Girl blows up and Girl on the Train blows up. And I'm like, oh no, this is a thing. Like, women write this, people love this. And then like our next ideas kind of were around thrillers. But I will say our intention behind doing thrillers is definitely the fact that, there's not a lot of like young female Black protagonists in thrillers. And we wanted to just fill that gap. We also wanted to set thrillers. So our first one, someone had to do it, is set in the fashion world. And that's just not something that we saw a lot. So in our coming books, we're definitely going to go back to that too, like setting thrillers in worlds that aren't typically where you would see crimes or, unique worlds. And so that was definitely something that was intended for that book. And for this one, this one was actually more so than any book that we've ever written individually or together, drawn from personal experience, but not so much in plot, but in character. And like Simone is a writer. Simone is from Jersey, like we are.
She has a passion, but she has to do a side hustle job, which she hates.
Yeah. She lives in New York. So we kind of drew on our personal experiences, but it was just really important for us to do a story. When we want our thrillers to be fun and juicy and page turnery, but we also want to make sure that we're saying something.
Yeah, it has to be grounded in some type of social commentary, something that we're passionate about, because like I said, that grounds it and it makes it not just feel like fluff.
Yeah. Right.
Even though I love fluff, I like to read fluff, but when it comes to what we're writing,
I feel like when you put those two together, though, it makes the thriller and the story actually more memorable.
Yeah.
Right. I would agree. And, just based on you all saying it, of course, I've read both books and you're right, because as I was looking at notes and I saw some of my notes from from when we had the earlier conversation. I'm like, okay, yeah, I see the social themes that were in that one, and I definitely see them in this one as well. So just give us a little idea for those who may not have read the descriptor of the book, what Perfect Little Lives is all about.
Mm-hmm. So our first book was more like a cat and mouse thriller. Mm-hmm. This one though is a mystery suspense thriller. So it's a mystery in the past and a murder in the past, mystery in the present thriller.
Yes, and we're following Simone. She's our protagonist. So like I mentioned, she's originally from New Jersey, but she's living in New York City, struggling to pay the legal fees for her father. So her father was accused and convicted of murdering her mother when she was 13. And ever since then, for the last 10 years, she has been working, with the lawyers and trying to pay these fees and just trying to get his conviction overturned because she believes in his innocence. She does not think that her father is capable of murdering her mother. The problem is she never had, it's just a total mystery. No one knows who could have done it. But in New York, she runs into her former next door neighbor and best friend, Hunter. So he used to be her neighbor growing up. His father is Scott. He's the judge that put her father away. And through their little catch-up conversation, they chat in Central Park. And there's just this tiny little thing that he says that makes her think.
Something in the milk ain't clean.
Yes. And I think your dad is actually the one who killed my mother. Mm-hmm. And so for the rest of the book, we're following Simone as she tries to basically prove that, Scott is the one who killed her mother so she can get her father off. But then there's one more element, which is there's a documentary filmmaker who is hounding Simone, and she wants to do this documentary titled, the most heinous murders that ever happened in New Jersey. And this can, if she succeeds and get this film out, then that can hurt their chances of getting
an appeal.
Yes. Yeah. And this is their last appeal. So this is her last chance. So she's got to stop this documentary filmmaker, and she's got to prove it, by stopping it, the easiest way to stop it is to prove that Scott
is a killer.
Yeah. And
right. And it definitely is a page turner, because I'm going to tell you, I read it in a day because I'm just like,
wow.
That's always the best compliment.
Aww.
So like, what's happening? And it definitely kept me intrigued because, and for those, the book officially comes out tomorrow. I'm going to show it to you again. It officially is out tomorrow. So you can still pre-order tonight. And, depending on where you order from, you can maybe even have it as early as tomorrow, or at least by Wednesday. It's a good read, for, it's not a holiday read, obviously, but it's something if you just need to take a break over the holiday season and want something exciting to read, it really is that. But it's definitely a page turner. It's, you're thinking one thing, but it's something else, and just really the cast of characters. But I definitely picked up on Simone and thought of you all as I was reading it, the fact that you all are writers, and the fact that oftentimes, yes, she has something very specific in trying to help her dad, but just even the struggle of it all, what it means to be a writer and all of that. Because in the last book, it was about fashion and how that's a struggle. People have these ideas of careers that might be glamorous, and we get to see that they're not necessarily as glamorous as we think that they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a nice little parallel. Because I would say fashion, and so breaking into fashion and breaking into writing, pretty much writing might be a little bit harder. What do you think?
I think so.
It's harder, but they're both really just cutthroat. I would say that industry is more cutthroat once you get in it, and then writing is probably harder to break into. But yeah, it's just evidence that we've struggled a lot, so we put that energy into our books.
But that just goes into like, that's how we create our characters. We always want them to feel well-rounded, because like you said, even though like with the whole plot, she has a major goal, she also has like just in general life goals, and she has things that she wants to achieve, and she has like romantic relationships, and that's always intentional.
Yeah, and seeing that, and actually, when the book starts out, it's romantic relationships. I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. So yeah,
yeah, we had to have a hook.
Yeah, I mean it's very steamy as it starts out, and you just get to see that. But I also enjoy the fact that it's showing a person who is well-rounded and a Black woman who is, who loves who loves, her relationship. She loves sex. She loves, all these sorts of things. And I think that that's good to see a well-rounded character like that. Not that she's just some buttoned-up person that doesn't have passion in her life or seek passion. So it was good to see that, but it's just like, oh, okay.
I know it's a lot on the first page.
You never notice it while you're writing it, but when you read it over, especially in print, it's like, wow,
we did that.
But it's interesting, because Simone, I mean, there's so many themes. And of course, anyone who watches here, or if it's your first time or you're watching it later, if you're looking for spoilers, you're not going to get them, but just enough to kind of pique your interest to, to know what's going on. But one of the things that I'm thinking about Simone and just the weight that was on her as this young woman who is, she is trying to build her career. She is trying to figure out relationships and how she wants to be in relationships or who she wants to be in relationship with. But she's also carrying the weight of trying to help her dad.
Yeah. And she's also, so she's in a relationship with Reggie. And when we meet her, he doesn't know about her past. So he doesn't know that her father is even in jail. She's, told him a little story. So because she doesn't want to get into it. She doesn't want him, scared. Like imagine when you first start dating someone and you have to tell them that your dad is in jail for murdering your mother. And it's been, a national story. So she kind of just wants to keep it close to the chest until she can get him out. And so she's been also holding in a secret. So she has the weight of all of that and the responsibility because, she doesn't have her mother anymore. Right. And she, missed all those pivotal years of having a mother, like she died when she was got murdered when she was 13. And then so also her dad wasn't there. So she had to become a woman essentially without her parents. And then the weight of, trying to be financially stable in New York City while also trying to pursue a creative career. But actually she's let that, fall to the wayside. And so, yes, the responsibility of just getting the finances together so she can keep her fight going. And then, holding in that secret from somebody she loves. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot to think. But then, realistically, there are a lot of us who are dealing, we're multifaceted. We can have a whole lot of stuff going on all at the same time, and just to see that and how she has to navigate that and, really not really having anybody to lean on.
Yeah. Yeah. She's kind of alone. Like she can't, tell anybody, invent about, when she calls the Innocence Project and they say, no, you need more evidence. We can't do anything to help you.
Yeah, because she's also hiding her past from the people at her job as well.
Everyone.
Now, of course, we've already talked about it a little bit, but let's dive into that a little bit more because that's like a recurring theme throughout the book, just her dad and what's happening with him and the fact that we know that there are a lot of people who may end up in prison for things that they didn't do, and just the burden of proof that is required to be able for them to be exonerated, and the ways that impacts the family. So how important was it to really dive into that particular piece of the story in telling the story and writing the book?
Yeah, so all of that was intentional, meaning making her the victim, her mother, and then her father be basically another type of victim. He's basically a victim of the system. And that was pretty much the culture, the social commentary that we always want to bring to our books. That was the sentence in our outline, is that we wanted to make this commentary on the judicial system, especially in relation to Black people. So
there's two aspects. There's one is the mom. So they live in a very affluent cul-de-sac in New Jersey.
Right.
And yet, so meaning the police department is fully funded. Yet they sort of jump to conclusions, at least in Simone's perception. Yeah. They jump to conclusions. They didn't really do a full, thorough investigation.
Because her father is actually obviously they live in this cul-de-sac. He's actually an affluent person too. He works, he has a professional job, he's upstanding citizen, but yet they still give him no grace at all during the whole process.
So so of course, Evelyn, the mom, became a victim of a horrific crime, but he also is a victim, Simone believes, of the system and of them not investigating properly. So her mom's death, like the actual crime of it all, and then also whether he is the actual culprit or it could be someone else. Like the investigation never went broad enough for her to feel comfortable. It was sort of centered around her dad, and she thinks, like I said, they cut corners, they jump to conclusions, they picked the easiest thing, the big black guy in the all-white neighborhood. Of course he did it. You know, it was easy to villainize him. And so, yeah, that was definitely, with everything going on, especially because we wrote this, in 2021.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was just a lot. And yeah, we just feel sort of this, not necessarily duty, but a responsibility to show the world how we as Black women see it, like through our POV, and in using our characters, because there's plenty of us out here who read books and don't always get to feel like, oh, I relate to this on a deep level. Because honestly, that was why we didn't really start reading books until we were like 14. Because we would, get the assigned books. And of course, some of those books were great, but we didn't relate to them on this like visceral level. And we didn't see ourselves in those stories. So we just, our aunt was a librarian and she couldn't get us to read. Wow. But once we started reading, even though it wasn't the best to read, we were 14, but we was reading Zane and Eric Jerome Dickey, and Sister Soldier, which was a great one, and Sapphire, and we were reading all those books. And so that's what got us into reading and got us to see ourselves. So we know the importance of just having protagonists that reflect a certain POV. Yeah.
And I can agree with that because honestly, I have told this story before, but the first real book that I can recall reading was by a Black woman author was first year of college, and that was The Color Purple. So now to see it come, it's been that's amazing. And a new movie coming out, and all of that, just to see how that story has grown. So The Color Purple will always hold a special place in my heart because it was like the very first that I really read it, even though Celie's story or none of the women's story really mirrored mine, but it was just the fact of seeing the story of a Black woman. So that's what's so powerful, and I love it that you use those things as kind of inspiration for you to decide and tell certain types of stories. But just looking back to the other book as well, there was a line with people in a girl in the system and stuff like that. So that's something that you all are very passionate about, obviously, really telling those stories and seeing what happens to people when they end up in the system.
Yeah, and it's not like we have to have identical experiences. It's just we want to speak for those people who do go through that. So like we said with the first book, luckily we grew up with both parents in our household. We never had to go through the system. Luckily, I don't think we had any close friends either, but there were some people on the periphery that we would see, and we want to speak for those people. And for this one, so so many of our men are thrown in jail when they don't belong there. And so many Black women just go missing and no one cares. Or we care, the system doesn't care. And we just want those people to be able to have a story that they can, see a different ending. Yeah.
But what also comes up in this book, of course, when Simone reconnects with Hunter, and just seeing him, because he's kind of like the opposite side. He's got this family that's together, and he's well-to-do, and his family is able to remain in the community and do all of these sorts of things. And it's like there's a line in the book where you talk about his life was pretty much set for him when he when they said it was a boy, okay, this is what he's gonna do, so we see that as well, from that so-called privileged point of view, but then even that's not always cracked up to be.
Yeah, with privilege, what's that quote? With privilege comes great obligation. Well, that's like a version of it from Ever After. That's one of my favorite movies. But so that juxtaposition was definitely, I would say that was kind of the spark of the story. Yeah, we were sort of like, we had the idea of doing that mystery in the present, murdering in the past, and we knew that it was going to be Simone's mom who died. But when we were building out the world, it was like, who could be opposite her that would
add the most tension?
Yes,
and
conflict.
Conflict.
Why not be her So when she grew up, Hunter, you know, they were very close, but he's a little older than her, and you know, won't go into the details, but they bonded on something very specific, and you know, once he was like 17 and she was 13 when the whole incident went down, and once that happened, and once, you know, her father loses his great investment banking job and everything, you know, they can't live in Asher Lane. That's the beautiful cul-de-sac. They can't live there anymore. And so now she goes to, you know, a very low socioeconomic neighborhood, and he gets to stay in his palace and go off to, you know, a very expensive college, and, you know, have the plan that his dad, the judge, set out for him. So he's going to be a lawyer, and he's going to go to the same firm that he went to. And, you know, his path is already set. But we see that story a lot where that's maybe not necessarily what Hunter wanted. Maybe he wanted to not be a lawyer at all, or a different type of lawyer, but he feels this pressure of having to follow his dad's footsteps. So yeah, with that privilege, you know, comes, yes, responsibility and obligations, but sometimes you're sort of beholden to your parents'
and
wishes, because it's their
want.
money, and it's their, and they have all the power in the situation. So yeah.
Right. And when I see things like that, it's like young people not having the opportunity to really fully realize who they want to be, because they're held, you know, to the standard that someone else has set for them. And that might not be what they want to do. So it was interesting, you know, to see that with him, just the fact that, you know, he's over here, he's going a certain path, but is that the path that he really wants to be on?
Exactly. Yep.
And being able to see that. But another thing that really, of course, like I said, not giving too much away, we also see how different people in their marriages operate.
Yeah. When we were coming up with the outline and, you know, talking back and forth, we really wanted to say, like we said, we wanted to do like sort of that domestic feel, but still have it to be like a murder mystery. And so, yeah, we really delve in with the cheating and, you know, not being faithful and keeping secrets and that whole thing. Because in the first book, there were no secrets. It was very much kind of, oh my God, this happened. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then you see everything happening and you're just waiting for everything to blow up. But this one, there is a lot of secrets and kind of dots that you have to connect on your own.
Yes, but just looking at that, but it really made me think, because, well, I'm gonna say this. A lot of times in popular culture, we hear different couples having different types of relationships or relational agreements, and people
I know what you're saying now. Okay,
you know what I'm talking about. And people will come in and have all kinds of things to say about what's happening in the context of somebody's relationship, but not knowing that maybe, you know, people have agreed to you know, certain things, or you know, there can be a lot of reasons behind why someone is kind of maybe doing their own thing from a public perception, but there could be reasons behind that. So that was something that kept playing in my mind as well.
Yeah, because appearances are very important in this neighborhood.
Yes. In Asher Lane, which is in Golden Heights, it's the picture that matters. And that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something that we discussed a lot when we were writing it, but something that we kind of didn't notice, because we grew up in East Orange, New Jersey, which is the opposite of Asher Lane, but it's in very close proximity to the Asher Lanes. So where we come from, it's like West Orange and Short Hills and Livingston, like all these, Montclair, all these beautiful places in New Jersey, but we're very, very close. We're in the same county. We're like 5 minutes away. Wow. So we see that and you aspire to it, but you never realize that behind closed doors,
everybody's faking it.
Yes, everybody's faking it. They're on pills. They're drunk all day.
Their marriages aren't happy. They hate their children.
But it looks picture perfect on the outside. And
it's crazy the lengths that people will go to
keep it looking,
to keep the facade up.
Yeah.
That's definitely running throughout the book.
Yeah.
That's actually where the title came from. Now that I think about it, Perfect Little Lives. It's like she's saying, you and your perfect little lives, but it's not perfect on the inside.
Right. And that is true for so many people. I mean, even in this whole social media IG culture, you know, people show you what they want you to see.
Yeah.
You know, it's all curated to what people want you to see. So you never really know unless people go live, you know, and do crazy things. That happens every now and again. They post stuff, but later on they're trying to take it down, but it's too late because everybody's seen it. Yeah. Because, you know, it's only, you know, what people want you to see. But another thing, of course, we talk about, I might get her name wrong. Is it Pia?
Yeah.
Pia.
Yeah. Yes. Doing the documentary. And that is something I found her angle interesting as well, because we know that there's a whole lot of true crime out there, whether it's TV shows or podcasts or of course books and things like that, where people are really diving into that true crime nowadays. So just talk a little bit about her and, you know, why you wanted to incorporate her arc into the story as well.
Well, there's two things. One, her role in the story, you know, for the narrative, she serves a very specific purpose, and that's to, you know,
add a ticking time bomb.
Yes, and urgency to Simone's mission.
Yeah.
But really, what we wanted to do was, because yes, you're very right about this whole true crime takeover. And we do watch, but we try to consume carefully. And because I will admit, you know, once you start getting into the ID channel and you're just watching back-to-back episodes or something, we caught ourselves one time, like, you know, almost speaking to the TV, because we talk when we watch TV, speaking to the TV as if we were watching fiction and like saying, oh my God, it's him, he's the killer, you know, just getting into it like that instead of obviously sympathizing with the victims and the people in the situation, the family members and all that. So we did have to pull back for a while, and then now we just consume it consciously and try to not. And because, you know, also what blends it now is a lot of the like streamers who remake, not the fictionalized version, but the, what would you call that? Like the TV version. Like, so it's not a documentary anymore. It's the, what's that word? The scripted
fictionalized
version? No, not fictionalized. I think y'all know what I'm talking about, where, you know, like on Hulu, there was the show about the girl that killed that boy with the texting and
I don't remember the name, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so we try not to.
There was the Staircase on HBO too. That was
The Staircase. That's a better example. So that was a real documentary, but then they made the HBO version, which is like the theatrical version of it.
Right.
And I feel like that blends it, because especially when you're watching that, you totally forget, especially if you have an actor that you know, you totally forget that it's based on real life. So yeah, it's not without guilt that we consume it, but we do try to do it consciously. And yeah, Pia, the filmmaker, her having this sort of with Simone was important to just show Simone, like I said, so she's pretty much a victim of Pia if Pia does this in her mind, because she's exploiting her family. Even if her dad was guilty, she's still exploiting a situation. And she resists it and she pushes back. And we just wanted to have a character like that, you know, kind of like a voice for like all those people who in real life don't get that voice to push back on people. Because while we want the stories, we can't get so caught up in it.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we have a comment. Then I had something I wanted to say about that true crime. Laura, prestige and presumed power is often a slick juggling act of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you do that so well in the story talking about that. But just as you were saying that, I was reminded, talking about the true crime. I was watching one day, because even TV One, which, you know, a black station, they have it like during the day from certain hours. They're showing all these back-to-back shows. And I was watching one day, and one of the people that got killed, I actually knew the person. So it was wild to see that, because, you know, first I'm just watching the story going along, and they were talking about, you know, they're basically some stick-up kids in Savannah, Georgia, and at one point, you know, they actually killed someone. When they said the name of the person, I used to work with that person. So it was just like, it was wild you know, because I knew that he had been, you know, killed, but I didn't know like the backstory of it. So yeah, that's the thing. I'm just thinking of these are real.
It's because like I said, now we're kind of getting obsessed as a culture. But of course, I think there's a place for it because I think it's so educational, especially what was that one?
I think you can do it if you do it in a respectful way, and you can get permission from the family. You can make sure like at least enough time has passed. Like it shouldn't be anything that's like too recent or maybe with children.
I definitely like the ones where they're doing it to draw awareness because it's an unsolved.
Yeah, that's crime. Totally fine.
But yeah, you just gotta consume carefully and just remember as you're watching it, these are real people that died, or
you know, and that actually ties back to Pia though, because she's extremely pushy and she's in a deadline, but she's also wanting to like go up in her career, like she wants like kind of a promotion type of thing, and so she's hounding her. She kind of does throw her morals to the wind, and that is kind of like a topic of discussion if you read between the lines.
Yeah, because you have to make decisions, you know, in storytelling, especially when you're telling stories about real people. You know, are you going to always go for the most shocking thing or the most salacious thing? Or are you going to operate, you know, with the sense of really getting to the truth and, you know, doing something that could ultimately help people versus I just want, you know, the shocking story so I can get the headline and, you know, people want to run to me. So, yeah, that is something. And of course, you know, as in your last book, we saw a little bit of law enforcement and the things that are happening within law enforcement as well. And, you know, whether or not, well, we already know the deal. But, you know, is law enforcement really, you know, for us? Are they there to help us? Are they there to harm us? And just seeing, you know, how that all plays out as well. And, you know, how people oftentimes, well, in the book, there's a person who has higher, you know, expectations or higher goals. And so he just uses that as a stepping stone to other things that he wants.
Yeah. Yes. And I will say just a little sneak peek of a scene, no spoiler, is just to illustrate what you're saying. There's a scene where Hunter and Simone are together. They go back to Asher Lane and they run into a detective. And when Hunter sees him, he's all smiles, like, hey, what's up? And they're about to like dab or whatever. And then Simone is struck with fear. That just shows you the difference of how people of different backgrounds will react in the same situation. And yeah, even in real life, I will say it wasn't until at least after college that I realized the difference in like, you would hear it. We know we grew up with the story of Rodney King and all stuff like that, but not in a very personal way did I realize, oh, you guys react differently when you see cops.
Yeah, because we really didn't grow up around white people. Like I honestly didn't even have a conversation with a white person in college. We went to like a peer. People, PWI. So I was like literally shocked that they were like, let's call the police like for a good thing. Like I was totally ignorant. I did not know what they literally thought. Oh, cops.
These are good guys.
Good.
Yeah. We're like, oh, the cops are coming.
Yeah. Right. They're not here to specifically harm us. Even we didn't think that they were here to protect us.
Wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, we knew that part, but because there's kind of a middle ground. But
yeah, of course. But just the instant reaction is just different.
Yeah,
they're like, hey, and we're like, no eye contact. Just.
Yeah, it's definitely different to see that to play out. Yeah, the book is just really good, as I mentioned to before, and I'll say it again and again. Everybody, I really do hope that you pick it up because it kept me intrigued. That's why I say I read it in the space of a day because I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? Okay, I think it's this person, but maybe it's not that person, but this person has a reason to. But just back real quickly, the part about secrets, that's a big thing as well, you know, with Simone and especially at the beginning what's the boyfriend's name at the beginning? Reggie. It was R. Thank you for reminding me with Reggie. But then that speaks to a whole nother thing that oftentimes walking into relationships, and sometimes we do feel like we may have to hide certain parts of ourselves in order to go into that relationship. And it doesn't have to even be anything this extreme.
Yeah.
seeing that sometimes people feel like they have to do that to be able to sustain a relationship or, have a relationship. And then once your truth comes out, how that impacts the relationship.
I would just say you're setting yourself up for failure if you feel like you have to hide a huge part of yourself. That should be a red flag. If they're giving you the feeling that, yeah, I can't even say this, it's just a red flag. Of course, you're not going to say your deepest, darkest secrets on the first date. But once you start dating and you're feeling each other, you're like getting closer and closer, you should be able to trust this person. Like, that's the definition of trust. I'm going to tell you this. It's something really, really personal. And I don't need you to judge me. I need you to be there for me or comfort me or whatever it is. And if you feel like you can't even open up, it's a red flag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think, especially with Simone, but, with all of us, a lot of time we're just afraid to be judged. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to be judged by someone that you're attracted to and you perceive as, he could be the one and I want to impress him.
Then but does
intent matter?
She's
but then not intending to hurt him or anything like that.
Right.
She's just trying to protect herself.
But if I feel like, I don't want to give away any of the story, but I would just feel like if you really felt like you could trust this person and you felt that they would be, like, if you feel like this person is just going to immediately judge you, why do you want to be with that person? That's how I feel. So
she closed off now. It's been 10 years, but doing this. No, she's right. She's right. But yeah, I think it's going to come out later.
Right. Yeah, you can't live.
That's it. Because you want to have control over it. But if it comes out without,
if you tell him early and then he's just like, oh my God, no, then good. That's your blessing. That's your sign. Exit stage left and go. Save yourself some time and energy.
Mm-hmm. Because if it comes out later, it can have a stronger impact. But and then that way nobody's wasting their time because everybody knows where everybody stands. So, but it was just interesting to see that because, and I guess it's a cautionary tale for us. Like I said, it doesn't have to be anything that extreme. But no, if you start telling one lie, you have to tell another and another and another. And then, things begin to unravel, can potentially unravel. And then that person that maybe you do genuinely care for or love, they have every right to kind of be leery of you.
Yeah.
Actually lie to them.
Now that I'm thinking about it, Simone is telling a lot of lies or telling a lot of lies to cover up that one secret. But then she makes secrets throughout the story that she has to keep from Reggie. So
she clearly doesn't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
I know she's protecting herself, but
it's that. But
they've been together for a while.
That's just something to see that. But yes. So of course the book is out tomorrow. So have you been doing a lot of press for it? I know I saw some really great reviews coming from different people that are really enjoying it. That people have had a chance to read it as well.
Yeah, we got a few people tagging us on Instagram, so that always feels good.
Yeah, we had a bunch of interviews last week, this week, some more upcoming. So yeah, it's nice and busy and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So for those who have a chance to read Perfect Little Lies, what would be one or two of the main things that you really want them to take away from the story?
Well, one of the main themes is about closure. Mm-hmm. So of course, Simone wants to get her dad out of jail and she wants to stop this documentary from being made. Mm-hmm. But underneath all of that, what she really wants is closure.
Yeah.
And we say this a lot about romantic relationships, about friendships, just about everything. We want closure. But a question that we're posing with the narrative is, do we really want closure? Because what if you start digging for answers and you get answers that you didn't want? Because what Simone sort of does, so after she finds out this one little tidbit, a little secret that she didn't realize was going on when she was a kid, that is leading her to think that Scott is the one who murdered her father, she sort of creates a narrative in her head, and then she sets out to prove that narrative correct.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you might lose sight of what you're looking for. So are you looking for answers, or are you actually looking for the truth? And sometimes, even though it seems like that's the same thing, that can be two separate things. And so you, as the reader, sort of have to gauge whether she's looking at everything objectively, and then you can sort of weigh what you're thinking. Because yes, she's very determined. She's very persistent. She's very tenacious. She wants something to be true though. And that is when things get tricky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's actually the psychological element that's in the book. Yeah. Is can you trust her judgment? Mm-hmm. Piecing together clues that don't even connect, or is she
right? Is she like dead on? So you have to kind of decide.
Yeah, that is something, because there are scenes in the book where she is like, well, it could have been, but then it could have been, but then it could have been. Yeah, she's even confused, with getting all this information. And I definitely understand, the thing of closure or answers in this case, because she believes that her father is I almost said something. That she believes that her father is innocent, so that's her thing. She just wants her daddy free, and
what if she does all of this and he did it?
Right.
What if she's also starting with the conclusion and trying to work her way back? So that's also a problem, because if you out for the truth, you got to start at ground zero, find the evidence, evaluate it, and then get the conclusion. She's starting from the conclusion, so that's another element in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then of course because it's been a while, but of course you never obviously get over the grief from losing your mother. Mm-hmm. And so that's sort of clouding her too.
Yeah.
She has to relive all these emotions over when she's digging into all this stuff, and just going back to her hometown is bringing up emotions, and she sees her mom there and remembers what it used to be like. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on emotionally with her that is also not tainting. What is it called? Tinting her investigation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. Just the whole emotion of that all, and going, like I said, going back and forth, and just really trying to get answers. And in this case, it works out. Y'all have to read to see how it works out. But sometimes it doesn't. And I guess that's the whole thing of,
Yeah, that's the good thing about books, because you always get an answer. Well, at least most books, most thrillers.
Most books you do. But and I'm just thinking of that. I'm thinking of, people that I know in real time. It might not be, what happens in this book, but just stuff that, they're holding on to. And it's like, I'm looking for an answer. Sometimes you're just not going to get the answer.
Yeah. And you have to be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How, to be able to move forward and not be, shackled because of things that you may never get the answer to, but still be able to go forth and live a full life and, have a good life and all of that. Just looking at my notes to make sure that there's nothing that I forgot. I think we hit, the main things and themes of the book that, as I said, it's definitely a page turner. It's one that, I say this often, but in this case, I could see really like this being like a movie or something like that, because people were like, well, who is it? What is it? Just seeing the characters play out. And I do know that, Amber, you are a screenwriter. So any of the books that you've written thus far or are planning on working on, are you looking for screen?
Well, we have a co-agent who helps us with that, with the rights of everything. Can't really speak on anything.
Right. I understand.
But definitely it's a goal.
Yeah.
And for Perfect Little Lives, definitely can see it being adapted.
A mini series would be perfect.
Yeah, a show. More so than a film. Mm-hmm. But we'll see what happens. But
there's been a lot of that happening lately, and I've noticed that it's not necessarily taking a long time. There are books
they're doing it fast.
They've been out within the last couple of years that have already been, turned into film adaptations. So it's possible, and I will put that in the prayer jar for you ladies. I think you write really well. I do have a question, and this person, I know this person, she has twins, so I'm sure the reason she's asking this question. But which one of you is the oldest? You two are so cute together.
You guys have to guess.
Guess.
Mark or me. Everybody usually guesses right. So
no, I don't think that's wrong. What? I don't know. Marcy, what do you think? Who's older?
Am I gonna be wrong? I'm gonna say Danielle.
Nope. No. I'm older by 2 minutes. Older. It was don't count, but most twins are C-sections. No, 2 minutes. It was a tumultuous not pregnancy, labor. So our mom was in one hospital in one city, and it was going to be a breech birth. Like I was in a rush to get out.
She was coming out legs first, so they weren't able to flip her around. They was like, oh, we're not prepared for this, so she had to get
to a different
hospital, and then she had to get emergency C-section. So
and then we didn't get to come home. Our birthday is on the 1st of November, and we came home on Thanksgiving. So that was cute.
Wow. And y'all just said that. Okay, yeah, we have to stay in touch forever and ever, because my dad, who has passed away, he was a November 1st baby. So November 1. Yes.
November 1st supremacy.
Yes. All Saints Day. Wow, I love it. So, but yes, that's actually my best friend, and she has twin boys though. She has twin boys.
I want to have twins too.
Yes. So do the twins run in the family, or
not identical?
No, our aunts, our father's sisters were fraternal, but that's all we know of.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll have one.
That'll be cool. Oh, and see, I didn't even realize that. She said she was natural with no anesthesia, girl.
Oh. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was too many years ago. I didn't remember all that.
Ooh, that's too much. I'm scared of one.
Well, I'm glad they came out healthy.
Yeah, I'm so glad they came out like safe and everything.
Yeah.
That's actually really scary.
Yeah, that's something else. Well, ladies, again, I am so proud of the work that you're doing. Happy that we've had a chance to talk twice in the same year. How cool is that? At the beginning and at the end of the year. So we'll be looking to do that again soon. Bookend you all. Start out.
Our next book is slated to come out in October, so it'll be even sooner.
Okay. Oh wow. So yeah, we're moving the timeline up. Is there anything that you can, a little snippet of what the next one may be about?
Yes, I can say it's going to be following. So it's a dual timeline, but we're following 5 ladies who are in a Black sorority. And I'll give you one little thing else. So basically,
say the title and then
okay. It's called Zetas Till We Die, because they're in, a little fictional sorority, Zeta Phi Zeta.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna say the main plot is, so since it's 2 timelines, one of their sisters was murdered on campus, back in the day, and it's been 15 years. They're getting together for a reunion, and at that reunion party, another sister gets killed.
Ooh.
So they're like, So these events are connected. Yeah, that's what their theory is, and after that, other sisters start dropping.
Yeah, and the thing is that the killer, the person who killed the first sorority sister, just recently got out of jail. So like they're thinking after us. Yeah.
Wow, that would be good. I'm not a Zeta Phi Beta. I am not a Zeta, but I am a soror. Sigma Gamma Rho. So that would be interesting. And that's one. All of the books. I'll definitely make sure.
We had so much fun with this.
Really fun and really fast.
Yes, but I'll make sure, because my sorority chapter has a book club, so I'll make sure that they read that one. So that'll be really good. Well, I just want to thank you again for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for continuing to do great work and tell, awesome stories. And as always, I love your energy, and having an opportunity to talk to you. And I look forward to do it again. We'll plug you in for next fall. Yes, next fall. Thank you
so much. This is always, you're so great. You ask great questions and you're passionate, and thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you just for reading.
Yes, thank you so much. And everyone, please go ahead. As I said, the book is officially, let you see the cover again. It's officially out tomorrow. So go ahead and grab your copy. If you pre-order tonight, you may even get it tomorrow. But, now, quick question. Will it be an audio as well, or just?
Yes, and by the way, we just previewed it.
It's so great.
She's so good. The reader,
Sandra, our actor.
We handpicked her, and I'm so glad we got her, because she is perfect.
All right, well, that's good to know. So yes, you have the option. You can, actually purchase, or purchase the the actual book that you can read, or you can get the audio and listen to it, but maybe not late at night, so you don't get scared. It's not a scary kind of book, but it's just it's a mystery. It's a thriller. You're trying to figure out, who done it, so to speak. So I love that. So if you all could just hold on for me for just 1 second, I'm gonna let you go, and I'm just gonna make a couple of quick announcements, and then I'll come back and say a proper goodbye to you all. So, all righty. All right, everyone. Weren't they awesome? I really love having opportunity to talk to Amber and Danielle again, and to read their great work. I love the way that they write together, that they come up with stories, and just to be able to have conversations. And I look so forward to everything that they will have coming forward. But by means of announcement, next week, and it's the actual last book of the year, I will have Crystal Smith-Paul here to talk about her book, Did You Hear About Kitty Carr? So if you've had a chance to read the book this year, or are interested in this title as well, please be prepared for that conversation next week. She actually has been nominated for a couple of awards with Goodreads. One is Best Debut Novel, and the other is Best Historical Fiction. So this book has been getting a lot of buzz, so I'm really excited to talk to Crystal next week. And then in 2 weeks from today, I will have the end of year BGC Book Club Winners Circle Awards. So as of this coming Wednesday, I'm going to put out a list. It'll be on social media where you can go in and vote for your favorite books of the year in a variety of genres, even some that we didn't cover in this space. And then also your favorite interview. So, who knows, maybe Amber and Danielle might win, especially since they've been here twice. But, your favorite interview of the year. And so that'll come out on Wednesday, and I'll give you about 10 days to be able to vote. And then on that Monday, the 18th, we will have the show where we announce who the winners are. And that will be it for the year until we come back. And believe it or not, everybody, I've already booked authors through the month of March and a couple in April. So yeah, we are moving full speed ahead. We just got one for October, right? So but we are moving full speed ahead here, and I really look forward to having more and more wonderful Black women writers. And there might be a few men that pop in too that wrote things about women. So that may be happening as well. So just stay tuned, stay in this space, and know that you are appreciated. And I look forward to seeing everyone again real soon. Until next week, take good care. Bye-bye.